Hi there. We're having some hot fun in the summertime here on Deliver More, presented by the team at Intech Services. And I want to welcome everybody to this episode. It's the first of a specialist series of tech talks that we're going to offer here on Deliver More, where we're going to take common problems and address some of these things that our listeners encounter. So as well as the products that are good for solving those problems. And I'm thrilled today to be joined by Chris Lord. Chris, how you doing this morning?
Doing great, man.
And Mr. Steve Bucci. Steve, always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Hey, I'm excited because, again, I get to learn a little bit more and dive into your business. And if you'll join me on this deep dive, you're going to have to help me out a little bit. So I remember back when Denzel Washington won the Oscar in Philadelphia, he had that line he kept using, explain this to me like I'm 8 years old. Maybe not like I'm 8 years old, guys, but when we dive into this thing, let's talk through today's focus and concept, if you will. Today, you're joining me to talk about coefficient of friction and release. So I'm going to go right to you, Wolf. I'm going to say, can you explain what these two things are?
Yeah, I can. It's so these are the really kind of the top performance qualities that we get inquiries on, but they get confused a lot or intermingled. And it's our job to try to get a full understanding of what the customer is really asking for, because they do give you some generic information. But when we're talking about coefficient of friction, we're talking about like sliding and lubricity. Okay. Whereas release is more maybe of a term that's used in the industrial industry, but we're talking about non-stick or peel, where things just lift off without really any effort at all or any Absolutely. Use of any type of like a release agent or anything like that.
Well, you said they get confused or intermingled. Could you give me some more on why that is?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of times, the customer comes in and when they experience a problem, and remember, Teflon is a problem solver, is they may not be using the right terminology or may not really truly understand what is happening. And somebody might say like, hey, things are, sticking, on this particular part. Mm-hmm. And we gotta decipher, like, why is it sticking? Like, what does that part actually do? And kind of you really work backwards. You go back to the beginning and come forward so that you make the right recommendation.
Yeah. Chris, I'm going to jump in on there because that brings up something I remember a lot of and I hear often. It's been a little while, but stuck was the word I was used, and stuck was always something I would have to figure out and dive definitely deeper into, because stuck could have something stuck to it, as Chris just alluded to, with peeling it off, but it can also be two forces, whether it's two pieces of metal resting on each other and they're stuck together because there's nothing allowing them to move, depending on the force, obviously, or the speed, whatever it is. But that, that heavy load sometimes can also be a stuck to some people. So terminology is a big factor for sure.
In fact, they're known by other names. Okay, so there's a little bit of the source of the confusion. Thank you both. That kind of was right where I was going. If I can throw this one, and either one of you can jump in. I've heard the term release agent before. Could you explain what that difference is between a release agent and a Teflon release coating?
Sure. Yeah, release agent's more of a temporary. Usually, it's an aerosol spray of some sort. And what the issue there is, it has to be used often, whether depending on what it's being used in, if it's a mold world or whatever. It can be, 3 times an hour. It could be once a day. But nevertheless, it has a lot of issues with it also that come into play. From a maintenance standpoint, the stuff gets very messy. Environmental purposes, it's obviously it's out in the air. People are breathing it. It's a slip hazard is a big one because it builds up on the floor. So those things are, a big factors. We hear about them all the time. So that's our job is to find a solution to possibly, at best minimize, or at best get rid of it, but at least minimize, the use of release agents. Ideally we get rid of all of them and we put on something more permanent, that they don't need to have that in their environment.
Yeah, I think that's the most important part, Nick, is when you're replacing a release agent or a wetting agent with something that's dry. So we're now providing a dry release and repeatable, which is even more important, because one of the things that your end user wants to know is, when I use this coating, how long am I going to be able to use it? Because it is literally like a set it and forget it. You put your coating down, you put it in service, and there is a cycle time. How many cycles will that go through before, maybe I start seeing failures and things like that. So whereas a release agent, they're going in there every time and putting wetting agent down over and over and over again.
All right. Well said, gentlemen. So here's where you test me. So coefficient of friction equals slip. Am I right there?
Lubricity. Yep.
Lubricity.
And release is more of a slide.
No. Release is more of a peel.
A peel. Okay.
Peel.
All right.
Non-stick.
And a release agent is just a mess, you're saying.
Well, release agents can be a mess. Absolutely. For sure. Especially, you have a high production facility. They have multiple lines. They're spraying this stuff and it's going all over the place. It's, we were talking earlier, kind of like the equivalent of working in like a Burger King or McDonald's, where there's just grease everywhere. And, the guy's like sliding around, getting your fries and things like that. So it could make that environment a real mess.
All right. I get it. Okay. So, all right, let's talk products. All right. And let's talk about coefficient of friction and what makes a good coating for having low coefficient of friction. And if you could explain the why, strengths and weaknesses of each.
All right, Steve, I can take that. I mean, coefficient of friction, really there's a difference in the fluoropolymer families. And one thing that, folks off the street don't realize is we have multiple, Teflon families to choose from. Mm-hmm. And PTFEs are unique in that when you cure them, because all Teflon coatings require a cure, is they do not melt flow and create a barrier. They're more of they center in place, which, basically means like it's not providing that flat barrier over top of the coating. It actually, when it centers, it could be like, you can only see this microscopically, but it could be like a little bumpy, but it doesn't.
Some peaks and valleys,
Peaks and valleys, et cetera. And it's actually measurable. Coefficient of friction, you can measure that. There's an ASTM method to measure the coefficient of friction. And that is something that we get asked about a lot, about, what the coefficient of friction would be. And PTFE has the lowest of all the Teflon families. Yep. So, and that's the main difference. So then you get into the other coatings where, again, when you cure them, they melt flow and create more of a flat barrier type of surface.
Yeah, and that's centering, and that, those peaks and valleys have less contact points, just to elaborate on what Chris said there. And that obviously creates, a more room and ease of things going back and forth over each other.
Well, let me flip the script there one more time. Same idea for release. What would make a good coating for release? And if you can explain the why, that's going to be a big help for me.
Sure, I'll take that one. Yeah, so FEP is usually our go-to release fluoropolymer that we use, and the reason for that is it does flow out, opposite of what Chris was just talking about versus the centering. So it does allow flow, which creates a very almost ice-like surface, very smooth, very, very slick in itself. So that actually creates, when you put a maybe like a wet dough on it or something like that, or a mold, it has a better chance to release from it because it's so smooth versus the other coatings that center.
And then, your other, coating in that space, Nick, is going to be PFA, because PFA is FEP and PFA are very similar. And the nice thing you get out of PFA is you get that little extra bump in temperature, operating temp. Because FEP operates at 400 degrees max, at PFA will take you up to 500. So a lot of times that can be the differentiator as well.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, bud. Now, so PTFE, FEP, and PFA are the product families, if you will. What about the industries that rely on these products? Could you elaborate there for us?
Sure. I mean, on the PTFE side, I mean, we get a ton, like Steve was mentioning, like you have metal and metal contact. So you have like automotive industry, they have, one of the things that, that they pride themselves on, or that they are constantly reviewing, is noise, vibration, and harshness. And that harshness is, I just bought a $70,000 vehicle, and when I'm driving down the road, the glove box squeaks. I mean, you don't have that expectation. So, right. There's an opportunity there. Like, is that piece coated? Can I coat that where, when I hit bumps and it rubs, it doesn't make any noise? So like automotive would be a big industry for that. A new industry that we have, that we've been really doing a lot of work in and had a lot of success, would be in the firearms industry. They have a lot of, slides and magazines and things like that where, they want, lubricity where it's effortless and it slides in and out easily, doesn't jam. Mm-hmm. And again, that comes down to the repeatability, and that's like an enthusiast market where, you want that gun to work. You want to have the best option out there. And our PTFE coatings, particularly our one coats, are like the gold standard for that type of operation right now.
Yeah, they've been tested out there. I mean, those milliseconds, that they've been tested from different law enforcement agencies, military. I've had a conversation with those guys where that magazine popping in and out, it makes such a difference when you're going one after another, like out in the shooting range and just for different training purposes. That those split seconds could make a big difference out in the real world.
Now, does something like volume play any kind of role in the right selection, since we're talking product?
Absolutely. It does. Absolutely. It does. We have varieties of PTFE. We have the pure version, which requires a primer and top coat. So a little bit more work involved when you're using that coating, versus, our one coat line, which, we have a couple of black PTFE dry lubes, which, are fantastic for really like automotive and firearms. And then you have, the PTFE one coats for food. But, a lot of those industries, when you think about them, they have a ton of volume. So one of the things that you look at is like, I don't want to be gummed up in a whole bunch of processing time where, I've got to lay down the primer, put it in the oven, bring it back out, and now I've got to put the top coat on. It's just a time suck there, and your expenses, inevitably go up because of processing, versus having a one coat. Some of these guys have automated lines where they can spray those one coats and they can do things efficiently. It helps keep the price down. And that's, and that's always a question, because like I said, somebody can come in and ask you about like, hey, I need a spring coated, and you're thinking like, oh, okay.
You're not going to spend the time, for instance, to put a primer and a top coat on that. It's going to be way more costly. It's probably not going to be, any that much better for something as small and simple as what Chris is talking about with those small brake clips or springs, for instance, things of that nature. Yeah.
And then you go down the line and you find out the guy's a stamper and that he's got, 1.5 million of them that have to be done. So, that's part of our job.
Okay. And you guys are both exceptional at it, if I may add. And since you are, let's talk about exceptional products for a second. If you could, let's talk about both these areas. For release, we're heading into July. It's going to be all-star season soon, because baseball's back and we're loving that. Let's come up with an all-star team as far as release and coefficient of friction is concerned. Could you tell me, give me the best product codes for each? Are there weaknesses in these coatings? Could we form the all-star team? Let's start with release.
Release? Yeah, I'll take release. I think from a one coat standpoint, so for the high volume jobs, as we were just talking about, you're probably looking at the 959G line. It's a great coating. It's good up to 425 out there in the field. Two of them that we carry, that 959G 203 and 205. It's a black and a brown. They're both FDA approved, so they fit the bill there for any type of food industry. We also have a green 959G 204 where FDA may not be needed. So there's a few options there for sure that will fit that. I think that with that polyanonymity as well, that makes it very durable as well. Good, it sticks to the substrate very nicely. So that I would probably be my go-to for a release one coat. Now, as far as release, full system, I would probably go 850G 204 acid primer with the 856G either 300 or 304 top coat. That's the pure FEP. It's going to give you the ultimate release. It's used a lot in the mold industry, for instance. If you do need an FDA coating out there for a food, you could still use the 300 top coat, which is the clear, the 856 G300, and go with the 420 G703 primer. So we do have a couple alternatives there. And again, it all comes down to us, getting some answers to questions that we may have for the customer to determine, hey, if FDA is needed, we have to go this way. If it's not, we can go this way. That's probably my go-to top 2, top 3 there across the board for release.
All right, Nick, let me do my lineup of PTFE versus Steve's FEP. All right.
You're the skipper. There's no DH though. There's no DH. Let's give me your lineup.
Cool, man. And so, again, we have the one coat line, 958 G303, which is your straight PTFE dry lube. And also 958 G313, which is your abrasion resistant PTFE dry lube. I mean, those two coatings are, hands down, some of the more popular coatings that we have. I mean, they're batting 1 and 2 in my lineup, Nick.
Nice.
And then I'll come in batting 3rd because that's your best hitter in your lineup with acid primer by itself. 850 G204, probably the top choice for lubricity. It is unbelievable. I realized how slick it was, even though it's listed as a primer, and it's a fantastic primer too. But as a one coat, the lubricity of that stuff is off the charts. But then you can, you have the ability to marry that with, probably our most popular PTFE top coat, which would be 851 G224. So, that marriage with acid primer 224 is a go-to as well. So, we're putting runs on the board early with those three products.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
All right, runs on the board. No substances.
Get up early.
All right, so we got through my. I appreciate you both playing along with my little all-star game scenario. Well done again. Now, if I could trouble you, let's do one more scenario. I think this one would be good for our listeners. Now, Wolf, I'm going to make you the typical caller calling in, so you get the day off essentially from what you usually do. You're going to be the caller calling in with some real world scenarios. Okay. So describing a common problem that people encounter. And Steve, you're going to have to provide the product that's going to work to solve that problem. Is this something we can handle? I know I just threw one scenario at you.
We'll give it let's do it. This is just like any other day here at the office.
All right. All right. So here we go.
Take care of Mr. Wolf here.
Here we go. So Steve, I'm going to ask you to answer the phone by the second ring. And, Wolf, you're calling up. Ring, ring.
Steve, go ahead, man.
Good morning. In Tech Services, is Steve. How can I help you?
Hey, I was my baking tray is experiencing buildup early in the process, and I need it to last longer. It seems like I'm constantly having to do rework and things like that. So you got anything that might be able to help me, like a spray on or something like that?
So you've got some baking pans, spray on that. Well, I'll tell you what. From a spray on standpoint, that's not what we have here. Are you working on the industrial level there, Chris? Is this something that you guys have multiple parts? How many? I guess since we're talking about that, what type of volume are you talking about here?
Well, I mean, off the bat, I have probably close to 1,000 pans that I need to have coated.
Okay.
But I have 4 or 5 facilities that we're all doing the same process. But if you have a solution for me, there's a potential to have maybe 10,000 pans or more.
Sure. What's the what type of environment are we looking at here? What's going on these pans that you guys are needing a coating for?
Well, they're really bread pans, and we're baking bread, and we've polished them down, it really smooth, and we do use a release agent at times, to try to help the process. But,
sure.
I need something. We're just not working efficiently right now. So I need something a little better.
Right. What temperature are these pans seeing?
They're running at around 400 degrees.
Just about 400. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is that max 400? And for how long roughly? Is that staying 400 pretty steady for 10, 15 minutes at a time?
15 minutes. That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. We've got a couple options here. And what's the substrate there? What are they aluminum? Are they stainless? What's
actually aluminum pans?
They're aluminum pans. All right. So you don't have a problem with them having a light grip blast to prep them. That wouldn't affect anything that you're aware of, because we'd want to have to do that to get a nice bite for, either the primer or one coat, depending on which route we take for you.
Okay. Just not too aggressive.
Not too aggressive, right? We'll keep, we can go pretty light with the media. That's fine. No problem at all there. Any no chemicals that you guys used for cleanup. I wouldn't, I'm going to suggest you don't use that if you guys are doing any of that now. When we go down this road, just a little FYI as I'm thinking down the line of things that we need to figure out here. But I do have a couple coatings that we could offer here. We could go with a one coat. It's obviously FDA approved. We can go in the 420G line. So I have a gray, a black, and a sparkling black. What that's going to do is allow you to have a little less expensive coating. Probably not going to be as durable as my second choice. I'd say it's probably a 1A and 1B. I just want to give you the option. But we do have the other one that I would probably go with for that would be a PFA. We can probably go with the 420G 703. And then the 532G 9410 is a great option. It flows out nice. It's going to last a lot longer than the first one I said, but ultimately when we look at, when we get into talking about your budget, things like that, but I think some initial testing might be ideal just to see what you think. I can, always set that up with a local shop, depending on where you're located. We can always talk about that and go from there.
So I couldn't do this myself. Like I got like ovens in my facility. I'm baking bread. I can't do it myself.
No. Well, let me ask you this. I mean, do you have an industrial oven that can handle that? Is it vented to the outside, et cetera? Most guys don't. You probably have some ovens that you're cooking your bread in, but I would not recommend probably doing the Teflon in it.
Okay. Nah, it's not ventilated. It's
right.
It's
and the spray equipment, I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. Usually that's why we have the professional set up. And like I said, for the most part, we do have quite a few guys throughout the country. So I'm sure we can find someone close to you to get that taken care of.
Okay, perfect. Well, I'm in Pennsylvania, so whatever you can do to help me out there.
That'd be great. Yeah. What I like to do is usually reach out to that person and, introduce you to. I'll usually give them a little briefing, for lack of better words, and give them a heads up of that you're looking for. And then I'll connect you to via email, maybe a phone call, and we can all talk about what's the best solution for you.
Sounds good. I'd like to get some prototypes done. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Steve. Send me his info.
Will do.
Look at this. Now, okay. Now, take a little break there. Now, look at Steve Bucci, my man, delivering more, as we say. And my God, could you get better improv work than you find here on Deliver More than Wolf? I mean, there is such a great delivery. And I'm baking bread. Really trying to.
Yeah. So, I've been listening over the last 12 years, Nick.
So let me ask you this: How did Steve do? Did he give a PFA there?
He did give a PFA. He gave me 9410, which is really right now. It's actually a new development in the PFA world with Chemours that we're really excited about, because one of the great attributes of it melt flows really quickly, quicker than any other PFA that we offer. And and these guys that have volume, if they can shorten that time frame just a little bit, it's money in their pocket. And we've seen a tremendous uptick in that product over the last year. And Mike and has really kind of plunked down some money to have that product here and available for people, and it's really paying off.
Absolutely. Well, I'd hate to do this, but I had a lot of fun just sitting back. I don't know if you saw, I just lit up a cigar and was just enjoying the show. Take a breather, clear, Wolf. Do you have one more in you?
Sure.
All right, Steve, same deal. We're gonna ring you. All right, we're gonna ring you up, and I don't know who's gonna be at the other end of that line. I don't know what his problem's gonna be, but we know you're gonna take care of it. So, if I may, here's the direction. Ring, ring.
Go ahead, Steve.
Good morning, InTech Services. This is Steve. How can I help you?
Hey, Steve. I have a metal clasp that has a terrible squeaking problem that is really causing a lot of frustration of my customer base. Mm-hmm. And Teflon's, I thought like maybe that might be a solution, sure. But I don't know. I know very little about it. You think you got a product for me?
I'm sure we can figure one out. I have a couple off the top of my head that probably would fit the bill for you. Chris, where are you located, by the way, since we're talking here?
I'm located down in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay. Atlanta. All right. So what are these parts doing? What are they being used for? You know, if you can share as much information as you can, that's always helpful for us here on the other end, trying to give you the best solution. So any kind of details you have, obviously you can share drawings if you have them, but, you know, maybe just a general overview. That would be super helpful.
That's great, Steve. Well, I'm a stamper, so I tend to do a lot of volume. But my customers in the automotive group, and those armrests, in your car. Well,
Yes.
you know how
Yep.
it clamps down. Well,
Sure.
we've gotten a lot of complaints, or they've gotten a lot of complaints that it's squeaking really badly,
Okay.
and we're looking for a solution for that. It's going to be. Oh gosh, I've been stamping out almost 3 million of these pieces
Whoa.
a year.
Yeah, you guys are
It's a solution that we really want to try to move quick on.
Sure.
So if you got something, let me know.
Absolutely. What's your current, you have a coating on there now? What's your current, product that you're using, if anything, or is you just straight up metal at the point?
It's just straight up metal. Yeah, it's never been coated.
Okay.
It's just it's a steel part. Nothing.
So steel. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I could actually send you some drawings if you wanted to see that.
That'd be fantastic. Yeah, we'll connect here at the end. I'll get you my email, but obviously before we hang up. But I think, just off the top of my head, just working in this world for a while, we do have a good fit. 950 AG 303 tends to be a good one in this environment. There's also one that's a little bit more abrasion resistant, the 950 AG 313. They're similar in their properties, but with that abrasion resistance, that may be the way to go. What I'd like to do is probably at minimal get you a couple sample panels to take a look, so you guys can maybe do some internal testing. If you don't have capabilities, we can always do some stuff for you, possibly directly with Chemours. That's always an option with that kind of volume. We can get that done. Does that sound like something that you'd be interested in? I'll get you some tech data sheets. Things of that nature. I know how the automobile world is with testing, but we'd be more than happy to see if, one of those options. I feel comfortable that, one of those two, if not both, will fit you well.
Yeah, I'm looking for something that actually is going to last a long time. So that abrasion resistant one really sounds like a little more interesting to me.
Yeah,
because people tend to hold their cars for a longer period of time now. So
true,
we want it to last. We don't want that situation to rear its head again.
Yeah, well, then let's just dive right in and go 950 AG 313. Then I think we can probably go that. They were my top two options for you. And if that's what you're looking for, some a little bit more durability. Along with that lubricity as well, that would be an ideal fit. So
that sounds terrific, Steve. Can you send me? I'd like to see a few panels of that. Can you send me some technical data sheets on that as well?
I will do that. Yeah, I'll get your email here, and we'll take care of you.
Okay, well, I'll give you a call back once I get the information. We'll try to line something up.
Sounds good, Chris. Thanks for calling in.
Yep.
Look at that! My little round of applause here, so it's not
golf clap
to drown everybody out here on the microphone. Well done, Wolf. Well done, Bucci. Gotta put you under the gun and once more, gentlemen. I'm always amazed by how well educated the team here at Intech is when it comes to these kind of talks and these kind of topics. You can sit a layman down like me, and really by the end of the discussion, I've got a decent idea of what you're talking about. What you're talking about is often very technical, and it's a credit to how you guys both approach your job. So thanks for talking to me about this today.
Nick, it's been a lot of fun. And so, this is part of the job that, I could, I'll speak for myself, but not the others. I'll let Steve voice his opinion. It's something I enjoy a lot because, again, people are coming to you, they're looking for a solution, they're in a spot. And, I remember coming in here 12 years ago, I knew nothing about Teflon, other than the pan at my home that, I might have been using once in a blue moon. So it's pretty amazing to actually realize how many different products there are and the options that we have.
Yeah.
And, and one of the things that, we try, to make clear to our customer base is, certain folks get into one coating, like they like applying certain ones, but it's not always the answer. If we have 65, 70 different SKUs. If one thing did everything, then we would just have one product and we would just call it Teflon and we would, ship it out the door and it would, do what everybody needed. But that's not the case. And that's why it's always good to, again, start from the beginning and get the understanding of the end use so that you can put them in the best product or at least best product options. Like there's, because there could be more than one that would solve the problem.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat with Chris there on that for sure. Is just the diversity of all the different products and situations that we see every day. It really makes the job fun. It really does. It's a challenge for us to always be on our toes, taking random calls. Just like Chris threw a couple at me. I had no idea what he was going to talk about, but being here almost 4 years now, I've definitely gravitated towards this and really taken a liking to it. And just helping people out is what it's all about. Finding solutions and then getting to learn all kinds of different things that are out there in the world right now. It's very, very interesting to say the least.
Well, that's the right approach. It's a credit to the approach the entire team has. Like I said, I appreciate you guys joining me. I was wondering if I could ask just questions just for the hell of it before we get out of here, just for some fun.
Oh,
hey.
no.
It's nice weather. Don't. Oh no, there's no problem here. No problem.
I've been
I don't
down
have any.
this road a couple
Wolfie,
times.
what is your social security number? No, no. I was just thinking. The weather's so much nicer after that long ordeal we were all in. I got my windows open. I live in the city. I hear a lot of things, and it got me thinking. Steve, what's a sound or noise you love to hear?
Oh my God.
Rainstorms.
Ooh, there we go. I'm right there with you, brother.
Because it happened last night. Nice little thunder in the distance and some
Just
rain
calm.
last night. Yeah, it was nice and relaxing. Yep, about 10:30 last night. Heard it. Yep.
Wolf, sound or noise you love to hear?
All right. So Nick, you'll be able to relate with me here. I'm going to go back to my old baseball days. Pitcher, pop of the glove on a fastball.
It's
That's a good one.
Amazing.
That's a good one.
Poetry. It's poetry. It's so.
And when they swing and miss, it actually echoes even more. It's awesome. I love that sound.
It's gorgeous, Wolf. Credit to both of you. Two good answers. And real quick, and this is one you can get wrong, by the way. Bucci, sound or noise you hate?
I
ask a subjective question and say you can get it wrong.
My dog whining at the table for food.
That's a good one.
I love her to death, but when she does that, makes me cringe.
You ready for this one, Nick?
Let's go, Wolfie. A sound or noise that
anybody that has kids, the sound of the fork on a plate when they squeal it. Oh my God. Ugh. Terrible.
Picking at those green beans or trying to switch to this end of the plate that they don't want. Yeah.
Or cutting something. Awful.
I regret to inform you both got it wrong. The answer is leaf blower. Leaf blower.
Leaf blower.
That's the right answer. No, guys, look, you two are the greatest. I love talking to you all the time. Thank you so much for being with us on this episode of Deliver More. We're going to see you guys next month on a new episode from Delaware. Take care, guys.
Thanks, Nick. We'll see you guys. Bye-bye.